Cleopatra VII Philopator was born in 69 BC in the grand city of Alexandria, the cultural and intellectual heart of the ancient world. She was a descendant of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Greek royal family established by Ptolemy I, a general under Alexander the Great. Although her lineage was Macedonian Greek, Cleopatra would be the first and only Ptolemaic ruler to embrace the Egyptian language and religion. This was not a trivial choice. It was a calculated act of legitimacy and respect for the people she ruled. From a young age, she was known for her intelligence, fluency in multiple languages, and sharp political instincts. When her father, Ptolemy the Ruthene, died in 51 BC, Cleopatra ascended the throne at just 18 years old, co-ruling with her younger brother and husband, Ptolemy the Ruthene, who was only about 10 years old. Their joint rule quickly turned into a power struggle, as Cleopatra sought to assert independence in her decisions, often clashing with her brother's advisors. She was eventually forced into exile, but remained undeterred. Determined to reclaim her throne, she began raising support in nearby territories, just as a new and far more powerful player entered the scene, Julius Caesar of Rome. In 48 BC, Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria while pursuing his rival Pompey during the Roman Civil War. Cleopatra saw this as her opportunity. According to legend, she had herself smuggled into Caesar's quarters wrapped in a carpet or a linen sack depending on the source. This dramatic entrance was both a political and personal gamble, and it worked. Caesar was captivated by her wit, charm, and intelligence. More than just lovers, they became political allies. With Caesar's support, Cleopatra returned to power, and Ptolemy III was killed in the conflict that followed. To solidify her position, Cleopatra married another younger brother, Ptolemy XIV, but her true partner was Caesar. She gave birth to his son, Caesarion, Ptolemy Simthronid, whom she presented as the heir to both Egypt and possibly Rome. Cleopatra even traveled to Rome and stayed in Caesar's villa, just across the Tiber River, scandalizing the conservative Roman elite. Her presence in Rome was controversial, not because she was foreign, but because she represented a powerful independent monarch at a time when Rome viewed women in politics with suspicion and scorn. Cleopatra's time in Rome ended with a shock. In 44 BC, Julius Caesar was assassinated by Roman senators who feared he was becoming too powerful. Fearing for her life and her sons, Cleopatra returned to Egypt. Soon Rome descended into another civil war between Caesar's assassins and his loyalists, led by Mark Antony and Octavian. Antony, like Caesar, would be drawn to Cleopatra. Their legendary meeting in Tarsus in 41 BC was no accident. Cleopatra arrived dressed as the goddess Aphrodite on a golden barge, surrounded by music, incense, and spectacle. Mark Antony was enthralled. Cleopatra and Antony's relationship blossomed into both a passionate romance and a powerful political alliance. They had 3 children together and shared a vision of a Hellenistic empire that could rival Rome. Antony granted Cleopatra and her children vast lands in the east, including parts of Syria, Phoenicia, and Cyprus. But back in Rome, these acts were seen as treason. Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and rising rival of Antony, used their relationship as propaganda, accusing Antony of abandoning Rome for a foreign queen and of planning to crown Caesarion as Rome's true heir. The conflict culminated in the famous Battle of Actium in 31 BC. Octavian's fleet faced off against the combined forces of Antony and Cleopatra in a massive naval engagement. The battle was a disaster for the Egyptian-Roman alliance. Cleopatra and Antony were forced to retreat to Alexandria. Their power crumbled rapidly as Octavian pursued them. As defeat became inevitable, Antony received a false report that Cleopatra had died. Devastated, he stabbed himself. Still alive, he was brought to Cleopatra and reportedly died in her arms, a tragic end to their legendary bond. Cleopatra, now left to face Octavian alone, considered her options. She knew that Rome intended to parade her through the streets in chains as a symbol of conquest. For a queen who had once ruled empires, that was an unthinkable humiliation. On August 12, 30 BC, Cleopatra took her own life. Ancient accounts suggest she died by the bite of an asp, a venomous Egyptian cobra, though modern historians debate whether poison was more likely. Her servants Iris and Charmian died with her, loyal to the end. With Cleopatra's death, Egypt was annexed as a Roman province. The Ptolemaic dynasty, which had ruled for nearly 3 centuries, was gone. More importantly, she marked the end of thousands of years of pharaonic rule in Egypt. Her son Caesarion was captured and executed by Octavian, eliminating any potential rival to Rome. Octavian would soon be crowned Augustus, the first emperor of Rome, and the ancient world would never be the same again. Cleopatra had died, but her myth had only just begun. Over 2,000 years later, Cleopatra remains one of history's most captivating figures. She was a queen, a scholar, a strategist, and a survivor in a brutal world dominated by men and empires. While many remember her for her relationships with powerful Roman men, her real legacy lies in her intelligence, her political acumen, and her ability to rule in a world that never fully accepted her. Her story is not just one of love and loss, but of power, identity, and resistance. Cleopatra did not just rule Egypt, she ruled the imagination of the ages.